This is Sagittarius B2, a giant molecular cloud in the central part of our galaxy. It stretches over 150 light-years and weighs as much as 3 million suns. Can you imagine that? I don't think so, since space objects are sometimes so distant and so big that a human brain just can't visualize them. But what if I tell you that a compound called ethyl formate gives the Sagittarius B2 cloud a raspberry daiquiri flavor? As toddlers, we learn about the world by tasting and sniffing things and listening to the sounds they make. The same method may help us better understand space and our solar system in particular. In this video, you'll find out what do planets taste like, how do they sound, and what exactly will you feel if you take a bite of Earth? And finally, what kind of lunch can we make with the celestial bodies of our solar system? Let's start with appetizers, and here we have Elon Musk's favorite planet. Given its average temperature of -63 degrees Celsius, Mars looks like chilled beetroot bread. But if you take a bite of it, you'll have a taste of rusted iron in your mouth, because that's precisely what makes the planet look red, and it sounds just as bad. Reminds me of that humming in an old diner at some gas station in the middle of a desert. Or where else do they serve crap like that? The next item on the appetizer menu is Saturn with its magnificent rings. It looks like a colossal peach pudding with salted waffles, doesn't it? And what about the taste? Although it resembles a fruit, Saturn in fact is a gas giant composed of hydrogen and helium. Both elements are pretty much taste and odorless. You'll feel something only if you try to sink your teeth into Saturn's rings, and that'll be tiny pieces of ice that smell strongly of ozone, the way rain usually smells. But the noise it makes has nothing to do with rain at all. Instead, you'll hear screams of victims of brutal interstellar experiments, and you'll need this sound to calm your nerves. The atmospheric noise that Saturn's biggest satellite, Titan, emits resembles the humming of a good old generator coming from the basement, and its taste matches the soundtrack. If you take a bite of Titan, you'll feel the musky sweetness and the stink of fish that rots in a crude oil puddle. Such flavors and odors result from different hydrocarbons present in the satellite's chemical makeup. Perhaps we'll have better luck with hot meals. And what can be hotter than Venus? This tortilla will make your tongue burn, since its temperature reaches 450 degrees Celsius. But even if you could ignore that heat, you'd anyway feel the flavor, which is 1,000 times sourer than a lime. That's because the surface of Venus is covered in sulfuric acid. And it's also the answer to the question of why there's a distinct smell of rotten eggs on the planet. The noise which the sour tortilla makes isn't music to your ears either. Something like a Tibetan horn called dungchen, played by Buddhist monks who got cranky after they checked what Venus tastes like. Cheer up! Now there's a king-size portion of lasagna made from the layer gas giant Jupiter. Like Saturn, it also consists of lots of hydrogen and helium. But there's both flavor and smell this time. You'll have the impression that you've just swallowed a broth made of a detergent and cat urine. That's due to high levels of ammonia present in the upper and lower atmosphere of Jupiter. The only bright spot here is perhaps hints of bitter almonds and this sound. Seems like a life-saving draft that can blow the stench of ammonia away. Take a look at Io, the satellite of Jupiter. Doesn't it remind you of a vegan pizza? However, it's another cruel hoax. Io is consistently attacked by sulfur volcanic eruptions, so its taste would resemble an overdone and hard pizza with rotten meat. But even those aren't the most extreme dishes served by our solar system. Do you feel like giving one crazy menu a try? Only the chef's choices for dear guests. This celestial object looks like a peeled coconut. If you try to lick it, the taste will be salty. You might even like it. But this nut is way harder to crack than macadamia. If you haven't guessed already, meet Mercury, the smallest and the most challenging planet in our solar system. Even if its crust doesn't ruin your jaws, then its liquid metal core will undoubtedly make a worse bonfire inside your mouth than even the hottest pepper in the world ever could. Mercury sounds quite like a person trying to catch their breath after eating a chili. And then a frozen comet smoothie will come to your rescue. At first, you won't even notice that this refreshing cocktail stinks like a stable and a morgue because of ammonia and formaldehyde, and the noise it makes will make you look around anxiously searching for the predator from the famous franchise. Now, try to guess these famous exotic dishes from how they sound. That's like a blizzard storm and a wind howling in an icy desert. And yeah, these are the coldest planets of the solar system, Uranus and Neptune. Their exteriors can be compared to green gazpacho, and gas will be the operative word here. Upper layers of clouds on these gas giants are composed of pure hydrogen sulfide. If you happen to be there, you'd immediately sense the smell of highly concentrated farting and would never bring yourself to take a spoonful of this soup. Well, if the main course was anything but delicious, restaurant guests usually try to lighten their mood by ordering some tried and tested dessert that they know won't disappoint. In our case, that's going to be Earth, the solar system's most sophisticated planet. And not only because all the cuisines of the world originated here. Even if we take Earth as an individual object, it's still more diverse and exciting than the other planets. Just listen to the way it sounds. As if we're standing in a buffet of some concert hall and the classical music played by a great orchestra echoes off its walls. And you're here because it's time to try the best planet on the menu. If you try and lick the Pacific Ocean, you'll feel the slightest taste of salt, but there won't be any sign of moisture. Given this scale, there's much more saliva in our mouths than water in all the Earth's oceans. At the same time, if your tongue contacts North America, you'll feel bitterness similar to that of sugary turmeric. At least, this is how farmers describe the taste of the soil that covers the continent. Some of them still have this habit of tasting the ground to better understand the characteristics of their fields, but those fields are home to various crops, and that's where animals graze. So, are we going to detect the flavor of wheat and raw meat in that bitterness now? Although all living creatures on Earth weigh as much as 550 billion tons, that's just 1 part per 11 billion of the planet's total mass. And that's way too little to let you get at least some hint of its taste. If you mean business and have every intention of biting off a piece of Earth, the only thing you're probably going to feel is a taste of some burnt substance. The crust of our planet is 100 times thinner than butter you put on toast. And as for its insides, there's a thick layer of magma and a core, which temperature is between 1.5 to 6,000 degrees Celsius. Even if we pierce Earth with a fork and let the ocean flood the holes, that's not going to be enough to cool it down. So, enjoy little steam fountains filling your nose. Does it mean there's no way to get a real taste of Earth? The moon was formed from a part of our planet and cooled down long ago, so it seems there's a perfect treat for the taste test. If you take a bite of our satellite, you'll find its hard mineral mass very similar to a stale and almost tasteless saltine cracker that's just been taken out of a freezer. However, the moon has its own unique scent. The Apollo astronauts claim that moon dust smells of burnt gunpowder and metal, just like a pistol which trigger has just been pulled. So Earth and the moon create aromas of salt, bitterness, and a bit of burnt gunpowder. And that's far from the worst available options if we recall the previous items from the solar system's menu. Now, if you think you were checking the planet's tastes just for kicks, you should know that NASA released certifiably scientific perfume that introduced a fragrance of space to the world a few years ago. Its primary purpose was to help astronauts get better prepared for their missions. Its list of scents included those very smells of gunpowder, burnt metal, and also rum and raspberry to refer to that particular gas cloud. Leave a comment and tell us what planet fragrances deserve to be added to this perfume and who you think you'd give it to. And one more question. How should it sound to convey the idea and feeling of space? Perhaps that can be the music from my outro.